Okay, hi guys, good morning. I'm Rachel from RG Hockey and I'm joined with a few of my coaches today and a special guest. So we've got Charlotte, Millie, Saskia and Jenny. And my special guest this morning is Eve West. Eve was one of the original coaches that started this little coaching business with me. So it's good to have you on and hear what you've been up to. Yeah. Got a bit of a story to your hockey background, haven't you?
Just a little bit, yeah, kind of all over the place really.
Those of you listening to Eve there, you can tell she's got a bit of an Australian accent.
Thanks, Rach.
She does actually live in Australia now. Tell us where you're living and what you're up to at the moment, and then we can talk about your background.
So this is my third year here in Perth, Western Australia. I have been playing for Hale Hockey Club, who are a premiership team out here since I came out here really. And then maybe 2 weeks before coronavirus hit, I actually just got a new visa sponsored by Hale to work as the sole kind of person to run a schools program on behalf of the hockey club, which was going to be pretty cool. And I was just going to be going in and pretty much doing everything that I've ever done with Rach over here in Australia. And then coronavirus hit, so I haven't actually been able to do much just yet. So
that is a fantastic achievement so far. Well done. Congrats on that. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
So just touching briefly then, well, let's go back a few years. So you are slightly different to lots of children that play hockey. It's kind of associated with public, private schools, that sort of sector. And unfortunately, you went to not unfortunately, because you've done really well for yourself. That's wrong. I also went to a state school as well. But you went to a state school that didn't actually play hockey or wasn't really heavily involved in hockey, and didn't enter anyone into the player pathway and the county and all of that sort of setup. So you missed out on that whole experience. When was the first time you picked up a hockey stick and what happened?
So I was at school, I think I was in year 10, I was 15, so however old that is. And even though we had an Astro pitch, we had we had everything, just never had hockey played, and we weren't ever allowed to do it. None of the teachers were too fussed in doing it, and it was always deemed as that sport was a bit too dangerous to do. And then we had some flyers come around from Wick Ladies Hockey Club, which is just a small, nice, friendly little club just around the corner from my school. Rach and I were both there. Green hearts in us.
I owe a lot to Wick Hockey Club because that's
me too.
But we'll do a chat with the chairman of Wick Hockey Club at another stage.
That'd be good to do one day. Yeah. So I went along there with maybe 3 or 4 friends, and we just thought, we've all got hockey sticks we've never got to use, so why not just go along and have a go? I remember turning up. It was freezing cold. I think it was about end of September, October. Pitch black, freezing cold, just the lights on, you know how it is. And all of these terrifying looking hockey ladies. And I just thought, oh my God. And walked over, and straight away Jen, she's the woman of Wick, she came over and was like, hey, how are you doing? And then kind of settled in, absolutely loved it, did my first training session, loved it so much. Played maybe a month, and then against another team whilst we were playing, I went and stood on a ball and broke my ankle. So that had me out pretty much for my first season of hockey. Came back to play summer league. So that's kind of where it all started.
So I actually remember it was the same year that I joined Wick, and I actually remember you were sort of hanging around with the second team for some reason, and I was with the first team for some reason. And I remember looking at you thinking, oh, you're pretty good, thinking you'd been playing for quite a long time, and then you disappeared and you were on crutches for ages. So we'll come back to that now, guys. So Millie, Sass, Jen, Fox, how does that make you feel, thinking you might, if you're not as, you're very lucky young ladies, what if you'd been that person and not experienced hockey till 15? How would that have made you feel?
Different. I don't know what I'd do like before I played hockey. Well, obviously I would have had other sports, but I don't know what I would have done really if I hadn't played hockey since a young age.
Crazy. How does that make you feel, Jen, listening to what Eve's telling you?
I think life would be weird without hockey.
Yeah.
Like, even just in this like coronavirus situation, it feels very weird not having a stick in your hand. And playing in the gardens is not quite the same as playing with your team. So life would be very different. I'd have a lot more free time for sure.
Yeah. So if basically and unfortunately this does happen, and it's happening all the time. It's happening this year to people. They're not getting the chance to play and experience hockey at maybe a decent level. If you're not from a hockey background, or you don't go to a private school, and unfortunately you're in one of these schools that don't look at, England hockey haven't maybe put enough effort into the state school sector, like they're missing out, aren't they? What do you think, Fox?
Yeah, I agree, because I went to state school for secondary.
Yeah.
And I was quite lucky because my teachers knew I played hockey, so that's how I got into like the player pathway.
Yeah.
But we only did it for GCSE PE as one of our chosen sports, and that was only when we did it. I didn't do it every day, twice a week, like Clifton College and the other schools that do
it. I think Clifton College do it every day now, don't they, Millie?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're for sure doing it every day.
it.
So, Millie, if you'd gone to a different school, you potentially wouldn't be playing for England now. How does that make you feel?
It's a bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking like the school determines how well you do, kind of.
Do you think all of you, somebody say something, do you think, I mean, we're always politically trying to be politically correct here when we're talking, but do you think that maybe like Sport England Hockey, maybe we're not doing enough to raise awareness in state schools, maybe?
Yeah.
How wonderful this sport is?
Definitely. The difference over here, so I don't know how it is getting into trials in England anymore, but from obviously back when I was coaching some of the JDC, whatever it was back in the day stuff, I think you had to be nominated by someone else. Was it a coach or teacher or something?
So Millie and Saskia will tell you about that. They've been through it. Does one of you want to talk Eve through your process?
Okay, so your school nominates you for JDC.
Yep.
And then from there you get to JAC. And then you have a tournament to get to PC.
Yep.
And then from PC you have up, which is a tournament, and that determines whether you get through to NAGS.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of tournaments.
Yeah. So the difference over here. Sorry, Rach.
No. Go on, you go on.
So well, I don't know if it's around the whole of Australia, but in WA, a player can just nominate themselves. They don't have to be nominated by someone. If you want to go along we don't have those kind of levels. They just have, under 13s, under 15s, those kind of things. That's all it is. And you just go along, you do trials. And if you're selected, then they have different kind of training. They kind of have like 2 weekends of training, and then you'll get whittled down from that, and then you'll go play a tournament, and then you get whittled down, and then that becomes the squad. So it's a lot more simple, and if you think you've got a shot, you can go for it, pretty much, which is pretty good. Yeah.
Open to absolutely anybody.
Yeah.
That's and I mean, it's a lot bigger than here, so I imagine there's thousands of children.
There's not too many. Like WA itself isn't actually as big as WA is.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many people. So yeah, trials and stuff. I think they're still pretty big, but they get them down, and they have like gold and black teams. So they have like different teams. So they usually send 2 teams off, and yeah, like they still give everyone a chance. And obviously as you get older, the teams just become a core 15 or whatever. Yeah.
So going back then to you in a state school, and then obviously you found out you're quite good at hockey. Our paths crossed, and we moved to a different club, maybe just to slightly improve ourselves a bit more. So things
Yeah.
sort of looked up for you a little bit, didn't they? Because you were
Yeah.
maybe taken into you know, a bit of a higher profile club, so to speak.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Um,
You're dealing with the fact that you'd not made player, you know, you just found out about, you were 16 and you'd found out about a player pathway, and like you think,
Yeah.
I'm good at this, I want to play for England. And
Mm.
my experience of you in those 2 years was, it was hockey. How
Yeah.
can I improve? What do I need to do? Like, help me. La 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 la
Yeah.
la. There was nothing else going on.
No.
You missed your chance. There was no way of you making that other than trying to raise your profile. What was going through your mind?
So obviously kind of heartbreak, because I was so obsessed. I was like, still am, but back then I was obsessed. I'd be watching 2 or 3 games on YouTube every day. I wouldn't sleep until like 1 a.m. because I'd just be watching games. I'd be learning the players. I'd be learning where they came from, which unis they went to, you know, what they do best. And like that was kind of just what I was doing. Then I saw that I was too old, and I was like, okay, so my next stage is to just go and get noticed by somewhere. So where's my closest place? Clifton. I was a bit too scared to go to Clifton, because I'd heard that, you know, there's this certain, with top teams, you don't really want to go unless you're from a state school, and it has this kind of thing about it. And the other place I saw was Firebrands, obviously. And then when I saw that Lily Owsley came from Firebrands, I thought, oh, great, cool. And then I also, my dad knew one of the coaches, and it was one of the Threes coaches which is the team I was probably going to start off in.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in touch, and he said, yeah, great, come along. We can definitely, you know, I can take you to where you want to go. And you put your trust in someone when you really want to do something. So really like went over with dad a few times, and then Rach and I started going when I found out that she was making the move as well, when she broke the news to me. And then from there, I maybe pre-seasoned with Threes. By the start of the season's training, I was in Twos. And then a couple of months later, I was training with the Ones whilst they were still in National League. And then maybe, well, by the winter, so by the indoor season of that year, I was already playing indoor with the Ones, which was pretty cool. I managed to play against Wales, scored some goals against Wales, which was cool, and nice to rub in Rachel's face as well that I managed to do that naturally. Because I also don't score goals, for anyone that wants to know. I'm a striker and don't score goals. So
you're a playmaker.
Yeah, maybe not so anymore either. I just I can just do some things now and again. I just drag flick, that's all I do. But yeah, so then at Firebrands, made it into Twos. That was my actual team, and then kind of had a few games for Ones and was asked to train with them for the whole of my first season. And next season I was completely with them, pre-season with them, and then was always kind of just referred to as E from the Twos.
Yeah.
Just because I was this kid, you know, I didn't really know anyone. There was this whole kind of clique going on. Not to kind of sound rude or anything, but it's just the way it is when you go to some clubs.
Yeah.
They're all absolutely lovely people, which I know now, but back then it just wasn't ideal. Could never really get the chance I wanted, and coaching probably didn't go my way. I thought the coaching would kind of be a little bit better and they would help me push to what I wanted to get to, and that never happened. So yeah, that wasn't really great. And then I think I'd been at Firebrands for 2 years, and then I found out I had a diseased patellar tendon in my knee. So I then had to have surgery on that, which had me out for another season, really, which was then when I decided to come out to Australia. I'd come out the year previous, a couple of months before having my knee surgery.
Just quickly, can I just interrupt there? The decision to go to Australia. So I've been chatting with Jenny. Jenny has gone all the way through the player pathway and into Futures Cup several times, and unfortunately this year wasn't selected for Nags. Big disappointment, but she's handled it so well. And my words to her always, it will come, because you know, Jenny hopefully is going to university, which is something that obviously wasn't an option for you. So she still has her chance to get noticed through the Buck system, and you know, she is on, you know, teetering Clifton Ones quite often. So she still has that chance. But you know, if she doesn't, it's good to know that there are other options to play and having a career in hockey. playing somewhere different. Can you remember how did that come about? Can you remember what happened?
So my stepsister actually lives out here. So the couple of months before I had my knee surgery, we came out for her wedding. And because I was just trying so hard to prove myself in ones and be like, hey, like, you know, take me seriously. I want to play ones. Come on. I found a team here in Perth and asked if I could go along to their pre-season because they play the opposite time to us. Their season is from April through to September. And they literally said to me, yeah, sure, come along. Like, we're starting pre-season. We'll be doing fitness on Thursday and we'll be hitting the turf on Tuesday. So I did. I went along for those 2 weeks and then I turned up. So the crazy thing was I turned up, walked into the clubhouse and was faced with Madonna Blythe, the ex-Australian captain, the most capped Aussie player or something out there. And the great way that we're now friends. We play in the same team. It's great. She's wonderful, wonderful human. Best player, best coach I've ever had. And I walked in. She shook my hand. Sorry, Rach. And she just went, "Hi, I'm Madonna." And I just went, "I know." So there was my introduction to Australian hockey, making a complete fool of myself, looking like the biggest fangirl who's just come over from England for 2 weeks and wants to hang out with Madonna Blythe.
A little bit like the time you tipped milk all over Susanna Townsend. Yeah,
like I haven't got a good reputation with hanging out with international players, have I? So yeah, after that, I then came home, had my knee surgery, and then just thought I'm not going to be ready because I wasn't rehabbing very well, wasn't recovering very well from my knee, and also knew that I'd be out for pretty much 9-10 months. And didn't want to push it. You know, Rach also was telling me, hey, you're young, don't push it, look after yourself, there'll be another season. Probably did push it a little bit, but I'm fine now, my knee's great. And then messaged Hale after speaking to my stepsister and my dad saying, yeah, I'll pay for your flights, I'll send you out there, you better go out, you'll have the best time. Got in touch with Hale and just said, look, I don't really know where I'd end up playing, but I'm pretty keen to come out and play in Australia. So did. Booked flights and came out. Turned up to Hale, and nicest people I've ever met. I've got some absolute best friends. I could not imagine my life without most of these people here. It's different here in Perth because a lot of people who play hockey aren't from Perth.
Right.
Because it's the home of Australian hockey.
Yeah.
People travel from over east, from Tasmania, from overseas. We've got a Dutch girl, we've got a couple of South Africans, we've got people from over east, people from Tasmania, we've got a couple of English people. We're from everywhere. So it's a real community sense. As soon as you turn up, you're just part of the group. And I remember my first training session afterwards. So we had Madonna Blythe and Em Halliday, who is also an ex-Australian player. They're our coaches. And we have 3 Australian players in our team as well. So they're all there. And at the end of it, I was just walking off, and one of the girls was like, hey, Eve, do you want to come and have a drink after? Because we always stay for drinks after. We always hang around, have drinks, have pizza, just have something. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is the Ones captain, who is actually now one of my best friends. And I was terrified. And I hung out with the whole of the Ones team. And so that team, the highest team you can be in out here in Perth, they play Premier 1. Yep. So we get drafted all the Aussie players, they play Prem 1, it gets live streamed, get played at all the top venues. And I it was really nice because they were really good hockey players, but super nice people, and didn't really care for what level I played at. They just took me for what I could do right then.
It sounds to me that you're sort of living your dream, really, your dream hockey life, but just in another country. So you kind of, you're playing at the highest that you can play without playing for an international team, although you're actually playing with the Australian international players.
Yeah, which is crazy, playing against them, playing with them,
Guys, what does that sound like? Imagine your club hockey with all those internationals, and how would that be? Go, somebody say something.
Would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Because you can learn quite a lot from the players you play with. So you probably learn a lot from them, which can actually help your game as well.
Mm. Does it sound
Yeah.
something that would interest you at any point, Jen? Just like, we all hope that you make it. We do. And I'm sure you will. But at any point, does anyone here actually think a gap year in Australia would be good?
Yeah.
Yeah, really, straight in there.
Yeah, straight away.
What Eve's talking about? Go.
Well, I've always wanted to do a gap year, so hockey could be involved in that.
There you go. You've got a link there then to Hale Hockey Club.
Yeah. It's a very good club, very nice club.
What about you, Sass?
Yeah. Well, I like to potentially go to America for university.
Really?
Potentially.
Okay.
I know someone that's gone to America for uni. Used to work at Redmayne, so it's definitely an option.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't think about going abroad to university, but I guess you can get good sporting scholarships definitely in America. Playing college hockey in America is huge now. It never used to be, but it is huge now. Wow. Anyone else thinking about going abroad for uni?
I mean, I'm year 12 now, so I've got my year of A-levels, and then it is uni, so I could take a gap year if I wanted. I've never really thought about a gap year or going abroad. I've always just kind of thought of like Exeter, Loughborough, Birmingham, Nottingham Trent, and pretty much all of the hockey schools in England who are linked to like the National League teams. So I haven't really thought about it, but it is an option, I guess. It'd be pretty cool.
The good thing out here as well with Australia is a lot of clubs offer up host families. So if you come over, we've got a fair few links where you can just go and live with a family, and it's really nice, and they'll support you. Quite a few teams will fly you out, they'll pay for flights. And you can work at the clubs and you can coach at the clubs, and they definitely support you. I think one of the biggest things as well that I've realized now that my life isn't so much because I'm riddled with injuries, that I'm not going to play top level hockey. I'm never going to come back to England and push for England. Is that I've actually grown massively as a person, just coming over here at 19, 20, whatever I was. I was living with my stepsister, but I still didn't know anybody. I had to find a job all for myself. I had to make friends. I had to travel places. I had to learn how to get around Perth, which is pretty crazy because it's huge and the drivers are ridiculous. They don't know how to drive here in Perth. So there's a lot of stuff to learn, and I've made some incredible friends. I've learned so much about hockey. They play such a different style of hockey. England hockey, I've always felt was very defensive, quite boring to a certain extent, that we don't really, if you get the ball, you shouldn't really run with it. Let's just pass it around a little bit before we go forwards. Whereas here in Australia, if you get the ball and you want to run with it, run with it. If you can do some skills, it's cool. And
that was exactly the same thing that I learned when I was in New Zealand over in January. It's a
it must just be like an Oceania thing. Yeah, they're not afraid to just go, and it's encouraged. Whereas in England, if I wanted the ball and I ran with it, I'd kind of get told, pass the ball around, you're never going to make it through. Whereas here they're like, go for it, go on, take them on, you're fast, go.
How different is it? To me, I mean, I obviously played in the Masters World Cup in Australia, so I witnessed the Australian team at over 40s, and I was like, wow, yeah, you're pretty good. But the difference over there in terms of funding and options and, availability and opportunities, is it really, really that different to England?
Funding wise, there actually isn't that much funding for hockey. So Hockey WA doesn't get much funding because I've had a few meetings with them now regarding my new job and stuff. There isn't much, but because the hockey kind of family over here is so big, there's just a massive following for it. And it just, just people want to do it. All the schools do it. We have this thing called Minky, which is juniors, which is, I think it's year 5, I think. And on the weekends, you'll drive past an oval, which is where the AFL footy is played, big grass oval, and they've got hockey pitches marked out as well on the grass. And there are hundreds of tiny little people running around with hockey sticks. There's just so much hockey here, which is why there's more opportunities, just because it's a thing, because Australia is so outdoors. Like the weather's incredible, so why not get outdoors? Sport here, it's pretty much all about sport. Like, stay active, do sport, let's all be great, you know. So everyone gets around it, whereas in England it's cold, it's wet, it rains, you know, frozen pitches for half a season. So yeah, there's not much more funding, but there's more opportunities just because there's more people doing it, which is great. And yeah, just the fact that you can nominate yourself to go and do something is good.
I am so proud of what you've achieved. You really have turned your life around, and you've made, like me, you've made hockey into a career, and you're kind of living your dream now, which is brilliant. I am super proud of you. Guys, have any of you got any questions for Eve?
How long are you staying in Australia for?
Hopefully forever. Yeah, so my visa at the moment is for 2 years. But then hopefully I'll just get to, I'll look at my other options of staying here, perhaps working a bit more with my hockey club and things like that, really. So I don't really have many plans of coming back home to England. This is kind of home now.
Just to visit?
Yeah, just to visit, definitely.
Anyone else got any questions for Eve? Anything at all? No? Are we sure? When she does come over to visit, well, and she will be at some point, she will come and pay a visit to one of the RJ hockey camps and all that kind of stuff. And actually, Eve's drag flick is very good now. I remember she self-taught herself to do it, and she tried to teach me as well, but no, I went, you know, sound like Superman.
I believe there's a video somewhere, perhaps.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you can keep that stuff. Have you got that video?
I think it's on one of your old phones. I'm not sure though.
Well, okay, maybe it's lost. But so she will come and visit, and she gets to say hi to her and stuff. And yeah, Mills, you're working on a drag flick, aren't you, Millie? And you are, Jen. In fact, you're all working on drag flicks. There you go. Eve's is actually quite good now. She scores goals with it, which is pretty good. So
yeah, I've scored a fair few, I'd say, compared to when I never used to score.
I think also, just actually speaking of drag flicks, like have you got any we've got a few minutes left, have you got any words of wisdom for Jenny, Millie, Saskia, knowing what you know now, and you're a couple of years older than them, and they are sort of second team, first team, you know, England under 16s, so feeling some of those feelings that you felt with nerves and not maybe quite getting into the click or whatever it is. Have you got any words of wisdom for them to finish on?
Maybe one of the biggest things for me is that I was just getting sour with hockey. I wasn't enjoying it. So, you know, if you have to hang out until uni or something, do. But definitely, if you get any opportunity to move on somewhere and you actually, like, your first instinct is, this could be good, just do it. Because, like, you know, that's kind of what I did here. Like, I just thought, oh, well, I'm going to miss another season. I'm getting on. Like, I just want getting on at 20 years old. And I just, you know, I just had to do it. It's just what I had to do. And it's actually been the best decision I've ever made in my life. But also, like, just don't give up, because people always doubted me. And now all those people that were cliquey and wouldn't let me in to play ones at National League have now seen me playing Prem 1 in the first year of me coming out here in Australia with Madonna Blythe, Emily Smith, Mariah Williams against other players. So, like, just don't really listen to anyone else. Just keep pushing, work secretly behind closed doors, and get strong. Like, really just look after your body as well. Is kind of one of the biggest things, because I've done dribs and drabs, but I've never really looked after my body, and I'm paying the consequences now.
I told you, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. And I've just carried on drag flicking, and now I've torn my hips and stuff. So yeah, definitely just keep doing it. Keep pushing away. Don't really listen to anyone else, obviously, unless it's good feedback. Don't listen to the rubbish feedback that is actually pointless and puts you down. Just keep working and look after your body, because it's such a hard game on our bodies.
That's great. Thank you, Eve, for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And thank you to all my coaches, Millie, Jenny, Saskia, and Fox. Thank you so much. We'll be back with another episode next week. Thank you so much.